Welcome to this Car Pod.
I'm Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And today we have a lot of great stuff to talk about, starting with the biggest thing of all. We've launched a new video series where we've all bought cars, me, Kennan, Filippo, and our friend Nick.
Yeah.
And we're going to do fun things with them for a few videos.
Ooh.
The very first video is live right now. And there will be two more where we do challenges and other craziness. We are doing Top Gear here at the Cars and Bids office.
And in the desert.
And in the desert, which you will see. Now, the reason for the video series is we've just launched a new merch line. I'm wearing some, Filippo is not, but other people will. And if you buy our merch, you can be registered to win one of the cars from the challenge. You can pick, the winner will pick
The Corvette.
the car they want.
No one will pick the Corvette, but yes, you can go to merch like carsandbids.com for a lot more details. And
All the rules on the contest are at merch.carsandbids.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
But at the end of the challenge, at the end of our merch giveaway, the winner will be able to pick one of the cars, except for Nick's, which he personally owns. Can't have that one. You gotta pick one of the other ones. And you're gonna pick the M5 probably. That's our video series, and it's very exciting, and there's gonna be a few more, and you should watch and participate and play along at home. Okay, on to the news stories. Give us the first one.
All right. Lucid teased on social media that they had, so you know how like police departments do testing to figure out their next pursuit vehicle? Lucid has entered that competition, and they're part of the testing for the next pursuit vehicle in California, I think.
Right.
And the Lucid Air is one of them.
It's odd, because the Lucid Air is an expensive car.
Well, it's gotten cheaper. Plus lease deals. I don't know.
I don't think you can lease a police, they like drill holes
Right,
in them.
I know, but like, they could probably make it. I think Lucid's looking for sales.
Lucid's
Also, that looks good.
it does look good. I'll give you that.
I think a lot of cars would look good as police vehicles.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't necessarily mean they would be a
Perform.
good police.
You know, it's a tool at the end of the day.
It's one of the longest range EVs. It's got a large back seat.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. However, it costs $125,000.
No, the Air Pure is like 70 now.
Okay, but what's a Charger?
I assume also said. I don't know. I don't know how much police departments
Assume
say.
also 70?
I think you're assuming wrong. I think the Charger is less.
But like how much? Like a Ford Explorer is like a
lot.
$50,000 car. So presumably the pursuit vehicle is also a $50,000-$60,000 car.
Well, yeah, but after they add stuff, but when they add stuff to this, it's also going to be expensive. At least it's got deep dish steelies.
I know. Isn't
It
that
looks
cool?
so cool.
Anyway, I think the whole thing's unusual. I will say, are we thinking that this is a desperation play from Lucid? Is that what we're?
I mean,
that's what we're.
Yup.
it's questionable, but it does look cool. And that post probably performed great on Instagram.
Here's a story for you. I went to Canada to film a collab with this Canadian tech YouTuber, Linus Tech Tips. And
very well known tech YouTuber.
yeah, no, I don't know if you know him. You don't know anything about building the PC. Me and Kennan, we
even I
spare
know.
time.
I know
I've done
Linus.
it in the past.
Anyway, so I was showing him the website, and I showed him, because we were talking about electric cars, and I was showing him Lucid Air results and how cheap they are. And he goes, no offense, but if this is all that your website is getting for these cars, why would anyone want to use your website to sell a car? And I was like, you don't understand. This is what they're worth.
That's what they all sell for. These are actually strong
this is a pretty
results.
good result, actually.
Yeah.
So needless to say, the Lucid Air demand has not been huge.
I think that they are hoping that they can be supported by many police departments around the country.
By the way, I should put a little caveat here. Lucid Air demand has been bad. The cars are tanking in value. I love them. I think they're awesome.
so good.
Yeah, they're great.
They're just really expensive for what they are. And no one really wants to.
But as a police car with steelies, looks great.
And they use laser as their like lane guidance thing, and it sets off the radar detector on the E39 M5 all the time.
Really?
When it goes off and there's laser in a place where it wouldn't be,
You look
I'm
for
like,
Lucid.
it's a Lucid. And then boom, there it is, Lucid, every time. So it would continue to go off, but this time it actually would be laser.
No, that'd be so problematic. Can I say one thing about other police cars?
Yeah.
All right, you know how the Charger for a long time was the police car of choice?
Yeah.
All right, Charger was discontinued last year.
Yeah.
There are still 5,000 Chargers and Challengers on dealer lots.
Yeah.
Fun fact, they stopped production a year ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Rough
So-
situation.
Yeah.
There will be a new Charger. Theoretically, at the end of this year, the Charger EV will be out.
You know, the story we were told was that the car was tremendously popular and they were only discontinuing it due to restrictions.
Yeah.
The 5,000 of them.
That doesn't sound
That's not a huge amount. That they sell
They
that.
stopped production a year ago.
Yeah. Wow. Does that include Challenger?
Yeah. But
They'll sell them. Some of those are demons that they haven't been titled. That's still an MSO.
Right. True. 12 of them are demons that have not been titled still on MSO. I will say there was news this week that Dodge is moving up the launch of the gas-powered Charger. Initially, their plan was to launch the EV at the end of this year, so in December, and then the gas one next December. Now they're moving it to early summer for the gas one. Hurricane powered.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. I think the reality of the situation is simply that electric cars aren't having the impact that they were intended to have.
As we talked about last week, probably even less so going forward.
Yeah, so that's not really all that surprising. I don't find 5,000 still on dealer lots to be that huge of a deal. They're going to be fine. They'll sell them. You and me will get one. Okay, move on to the next news story. Oh, this news story. Did you see this? This is all over everything. There's a Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealership apparently in Kentucky that when the Viper was new, the original Viper was new, they just put one on their sign in front, and then they've since they periodically remove it, to like clean it and make it nice again, and they've done that this week. And so there were pictures of it with like rat's nest, infested all over the interior, like
tragic.
But it's going to be down for a few months while they kind of fix it up, and then they put it.
Are
back
they putting it back up?
Yeah, they are. Now, a couple interesting things. Go back to the shot. This sign is not compliant. This is not a Chrysler. No. So this dealership clearly is kind of doing their own thing, obviously, because they have to call out Scott's Crane Service to take a Viper off the sign. You think they call Scott and he's like, yep, all right, I was there 8 years ago when we did it. We'll do it again.
The irony, of course, is that Dodge no longer sells any cars.
Yeah.
So...
Well, they got 5,000 Challengers and Chargers. They got 800 of them here at this dealership. Anyway, this was an interesting story. It was odd to me that they threw wheels on it.
Yeah, that is an interesting move.
A lot of people put aftermarket wheels on original Vipers because the tire size, it became hard to find tires. But that's not really a problem for this car.
No. It's not really in motion. The birds don't mind if the date codes are expired.
Date codes are old, yeah. Anyway, so that's an interesting situation. Filippo, any comment?
No, only that you forgot to mention Ram as one of the brands at the dealership.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Maserati.
Presumably they have all the
Fiat. Whenever Fiat decides they want to sell a car in the United States.
Well, they hope to.
It's a tough situation. But how many people do you think this brought in? How many neons did this sell back in the day that there was a Viper on the sign outside?
So many.
So many.
Interesting.
Worth every penny. This is advertising.
Interesting use of a halo car. Put it literally above people.
Well, if remember the Audi R8 brought people into dealers and they bought A4s?
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. Got neons.
Probably equally successful on the sign as just it existing.
Beautiful situation. Okay, next news story, please. Yes. Cadillac has announced a new electric SUV called the Vistique.
Yep.
Now, Cadillac, I do find it interesting. They've decided to go back to naming their cars.
Yeah, that's right.
Which Lincoln pioneered. And by pioneered, I mean they started doing it 2 years ago. But Cadillac has decided they're going to stop with the CT6, CT8, CTF, and all their electric cars seem to be having names like Vistique and Celestique.
And they all have Qs.
And Escalade IQ, which it should be Esqualade.
It should be Esqualade. It really should be.
Anyway, I don't know about this car, and I don't know if they released any details, and even if they did, obviously we wouldn't remember
It's an electric car. It's like, it looks like it's XTS sized.
Lyric with a Q. But
I
will tell you this.
Looks good.
The Cadillac XT6 is a mid-sized sport utility vehicle.
Call it an XTS. Oh my goodness.
They've been manufacturing for 5 or 6 years now. It's generally agreed to be middle of the road, not a high quality vehicle. However, I think it's beautiful.
It looks great.
Here is an electric version of it, essentially. It's like the same overall
It's the same size, yeah.
This looks like a nice car.
It looks great.
It looks weird.
The Lyric looks kind of weird, but it looks good. And the light treatment is excellent. If you see one at night, it looks so cool.
It does look nice.
This looks nice.
This does look nice. I legitimately think it's one of Cadillac's best designs.
Yeah.
The Escalade's a little bit much. This is like a little more restrained, a little classier.
Right. Yeah. No, I think this looks good. The Escalade IQ especially is a little bit much. It's big and gaping.
Okay. A long time ago, you sent me a photo of one around. I have not seen a single one since.
I saw one in July, and here we are in November. It's not on sale.
And San Diego is a great barometer for that because we get everything that's new.
Well,
and like
except for
that
Cadillac.
particular one I saw in Nantucket, but it had manufacturer plates. It wasn't a. It wasn't a.
So you haven't seen one owned by the public?
No,
I don't think it's for sale.
It's still not on the market. It's a slow rollout. But anyway, I think that at the very least that this looks cool. Cadillac's really going hard on EVs. Which
is going to be questionable.
Celestique with Vistique now. Isn't there a little one?
There is a little one announced that I don't remember what it's called, but it's something with a Q.
They're going hard on EVs, and the market is not. Every Lyric I see is a Uber Black. Do you agree?
And it's all Escalades, and it's all...
No, every Lyric.
Lyric. I'm so sorry. Yeah. No, there's a few in our neighborhood that are leased.
They're leased.
I mean, let's be honest.
Highly subsidized lease deals. What can you lease one of those for?
I think like in the 400s, I imagine. The Optic is the
Optique
is the small one.
Optique. Can you put up a picture of the Optique? I'd like to see what that looks
It's
like.
OP. It's like Optic, but with a Q.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh, with a Q.
It'll pull up, it'll
Yeah,
pull
It also
go
looks
up.
good.
Yeah,
but not
this
as
is a
good.
Blazer EV.
Yeah, or an Equinox EV. I don't know what the chassis is.
Yikes.
The one we're just looking at, whatever it's called, looks better.
Vistique.
Yeah, sure.
It's hard to remember. They decided to go with names, but half the name on all the cars is the same. So instead of like XT, it's going to be eek on every car. All right, give us the next news story, please.
A few weeks ago, we talked about the Passport, the Honda Passport, which is a smaller version of the Pilot, off-road version.
Yeah.
They were like teaser shots. And now it has been fully revealed. And it looks good.
It does look good. There's people talking about how it's a pretty legit off-roader.
Yeah. In the same way that like all of these are vaguely legit off. The same way that an Outback Wilderness is a legit off-roader.
But the 4Runner is a legit off-roader.
No, it's not like that. No,
But why
no.
not do that?
Well, because they would have to build like they don't build trucks. They don't know.
I know.
The last truck they built was an Azusa Rodeo.
It's all marketing, though. This car has,
but it
this
looks
car
good at
has
least.
more cool stuff than the previous Passport.
The previous Passport was literally a Pilot, just shrunk a little bit.
Right.
This looks at least a little bit different. Looks cool. The
look cool.
orange DRLs look good.
They do.
And the side profile shots also look pretty good. It's a good looking car.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It is a nice looking car. I'm always concerned about the reality of an off-road vehicle if it doesn't have body on frame and all sorts of
Nobody
off-road.
cares. Everybody just wants it to look like it could go off-road.
What do you want? What do you want from your off-roading vehicle?
I want it to say 70 Series Land Cruiser. That's what I want.
You
But
Well, you won't accept anything short of a 70 Series Land Cruiser. You know what this
true.
has that the 70 Series doesn't have? Stowable picnic table.
Like the old CRV
Like
had?
the old CRV.
Wow.
They claim it also has rock sliders and trail watch cameras.
That's legit.
This is maybe not as bad as I was thinking
No.
it would be. Who in this segment is not getting a Grand Cherokee or a 4Runner? The problem is Honda has watched those cars be successful. Ford made the same mistake with the Edge. They've watched those cars be successful, and they don't quite understand what has made them successful, which is like real capability to back up. Like everybody who tries to do a G-Wagon and doesn't really do it, it fails. Because like the whole people want to buy capability they don't need. And Honda's like, well, we're just going to give you all the capability you do need and none of the extra. And it's like, you don't get it. People, what sells the car is the capability they're not going to use.
I think you're wrong because you are well aware because you live in the same area. There's so many cross-track wildernesses. About like a third of cross-tracks may or may not be true, but I think it is broadly right. And like, are they doing anything? No, but they want it to look off-roady. You're buying a Passport because you want it to look off-roady.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
that's
why
a
you're not buying a
different
CRV,
segment,
we'll never
There's
know.
no off-roader in that segment, really.
But like, same is true for the Forester Wilderness, which does exist, and the Outback Wilderness.
Yeah.
And like,
those aren't around, though.
they are around.
No,
Look around.
I've never seen a Forester Wilderness.
Really?
I've never seen it in my life.
You
Outback
just haven't-
Wilderness, you can't miss.
looking. You just haven't been looking. But I think there is a market for people that want something that they are confident can go down the dirt road they go down once a year, even though a regular Passport or a Camry could as well. But like they want the appearance of it, and this will do enough of it.
Yeah, I mean,
be
that's
fine.
definitely true. And it's a nice looking car. I agree with you on that. And I'm
Now-
glad that they added a little bit more true capability because they have been marketing this as an off-roader for a while, and that has not been true. And it's nice to actually have some real capability. You and me can take it on the trails when they send me.
I would love to do that. I will say I don't like how the back looks, but that's the only issue.
Well,
Well, look, you don't have to see it when you're in it.
The holiday season is starting, so this is the time when it gets harder to stay on top of your health routine. That's why I decided to add AG1 to my morning routine. Before I get into my full workday of making my videos, going over quirks and features, it's important to make sure I'm taking care of myself. I try to start my morning with cardio, beating Kennan and Filippo on the tennis court. Adding AG1 ensures I'm also starting my morning with a foundational nutritional supplement too. Many of you already know my favorite drink is cold water, and adding AG1 to water, it's easy to drink and it helps me be on top of my game. So this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and delicious daily health drink. And that's why I'm so excited to be partnering with them. Every week of November, AG1 will be running a special Black Friday offer with a free gift for your first subscription. In addition to the welcome kit with vitamin D3 K3 plus K2. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/carpod to see what gift you can get this week. That's drinkag1.com/carpod to start your holiday season off on a healthier note while supplies last. Okay, move on to the next news story, please.
All right, real cars. So Porsche has added 2 new models to the Taycan range, and they've added a body style. So they've given us the Taycan.
A body style they already had.
Yes, but they brought it. I don't know.
It is a refresh, and it wasn't here for the first year of the refresh.
Right, exactly. It wasn't here for the first. So they've given us the Taycan 4 and the GTS. The 4 obviously being all-wheel drive, which is important. That car, it's still pretty impressive. It does 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, which is, it ain't slow, but I guess none of the Taycans are. But the real one to talk about is the GTS, which now has 690 horsepower. And it got like a couple of different things. You could option rear-wheel drive steering, make it handle better, and blah, blah, blah. But I guess they thought they needed to broaden this range more. My belief was they weren't selling all that many Taycans these days.
There are 11 models now.
That's a lot. Like 2 more kind of feels like a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot, especially considering that sales have not really been great, but they can sell them in different trims without much effort because it's just like different states of tune.
Sure, but yeah, they're still expensive. The 4 starts at 105 grand. 105. And the Sport Turismo GTS is 151.7.
Now, the good news is that in a year and a half, they'll all be worth the equivalent $60,000.
Pull up Taycans on the site.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, there's not a lot of demand for these cars. They're cool. But like
57 for 4S from 2020, 92 for a 23 GTS.
Sport Turismo.
That's like the one to yeah.
We were discussing the other day the Taycan Sport Turismo might be the best looking EV for sale.
Yeah, no, it does. I agree with that, and also like the most car enthusiast EV, like we were saying. But like the values just become so low so quickly, which speaks to the level of demand that this car has. And so I appreciate that they're offering new models, but Porsche must realize, like, there's not huge interest in Taycan. Yeah. It's interesting that Porsche continues to invest in Taycan line at the level that they are, considering that.
I think their R&D, I mean, this was in motion years ago already, so I think they just have to do it at this point. They're kind of stuck with it. Otherwise, it's just a complete loss altogether. So they were going to roll it out as it was. Still, you know, it is interesting, like we've talked about many times now, that they are now kind of walking back the EV thing pretty quickly here. So I am kind of curious to see.
I mean, the faceless with Panamera, but will there be a gas Macan, or will it be EV only? I've seen one Macan EV. Are they preparing for when that doesn't sell?
I guess we'll see. I think they're probably as anxious about it as anybody, but.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Macan EV, I'm not really sure about.
Yeah,
for sure.
Same.
Have you driven? You haven't driven one?
No, but they're purportedly going to send me one soon. Okay, give us another one. Ooh, yes.
All right. This is a Mercedes AMG GT43. Yeah, the 43 has been revealed.
Yeah,
as pricing.
Base model.
Yeah, base model. Ugh. First of all, Doug, can you guess how much horsepower this has? It is, of course, a 2-door rear-wheel drive, unlike the rest, which are all-wheel drive sports car.
It's got probably like 500 horsepower.
It's got 416 horsepower from a 2-liter inline 4.
416?
Yeah, 1.6.
Yeah, because it's the 2-liter 4. Okay.
Without the hybrid components, it's like.
So what are they charging for it?
107 is the MSRP.
107 base. I mean,
so you're paying $107,000 for a 416 horsepower coupe.
It's another car that appreciates fast. It's interesting. These automakers release all these cars. It's funny. We've talked about Lucid Air, Taycan, and now AMG GT43, AMG GT, all of which have been tremendously fast appreciators in the used market. They're all released by these automakers, and then immediately they have these massive incentives on these cars to try to get people to buy them. The coupe segment is a tough one. The luxury coupe segment is a tough one. Mercedes really was trying to compete with 911. They made the new SL sportier. It hasn't worked. Yeah. They made the AMG GT just essentially a coupe version of the SL to kind of combine them into one car. I think that's just confusing. Frankly, I think that this car is confusing in general. It's just an odd market segment.
I get what they're trying to do because how much horsepower does a base 911 have? 400 something, presumably?
No, I think it's 3.
Okay, great. So they're beating the base 911. An LC 500 is around 100 grand too. So like, I get how they're getting to that price. It's similar horsepower for a similar price point with other luxury coupes. But this is a car nobody cares
people
about.
Want 911s, want 911s.
People want and like people that want a GT, an AMG GT want more than 416 horsepower from a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
They don't want a 4-cylinder. And then if they do, they want actual power.
This is ultimately going to be like a lease play for people who want like something cool.
And it does look good.
Yeah, no, it does look good. And they're going to be able to get them at pretty good incentivized rates pretty soon because, but
to be honest with you, I've been kind of confused about this whole thing since the SLS. The SLS came, like the SLS was like very high performance. It competed with the 458. Like it was a big, brawny 6.2, like 6.2 liter V8, really powerful car. Then the AMG GT came out with substantially less power, still amazing looks, and kind of felt like that, but it wasn't anywhere near on the performance level the SLS was. And then they made a gazillion different trims of it that no one knows or can keep straight.
I think Mercedes, I think the goal was, they first came out with the SLR, and I think the goal initially always was for these cars to be halo cars, but they realized the same thing Lexus realized with the LFA, which is that a halo car that costs $500,000 doesn't have enough of a halo effect. So they've subsequently lowered the price point, but now it's not even really a halo car. And trying to compete with the 911, Mercedes doesn't know what to do. The answer is Mercedes doesn't know what to do with the SL. And they're confused because no one is buying the SL and no one's bought the SL in 10 years. And so they're confused about where to take the SL. And so this time they've merged with the AMG GT. I guarantee this will not be the strategy for the next generation if the cars even stick around.
Plus, if you're doing that and you want it to be vaguely a halo car, just do the 63. Don't do a 400 horsepower 4-cylinder one.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, used AMG GTs with an actual V8 are 60.
Yeah.
Which is a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, a new car is a new car, and it's a different kind of world.
Different world.
Nonetheless, it is pricey for what it is, and that engine has not been getting a lot of great
no, and this is
feedback
without the hybrid stuff, too.
Yeah. $25,000 a cylinder.
All right, give us the next one. We got another great news story here. Our friend Marques Brownlee.
And he is a friend of the channel.
Yeah. So Marques does this video with a Lamborghini where he's going too fast, and people lose it in the comments. I can't believe you're going so fast.
He blurred the speedo, but the Revuelto has the passenger side display.
Speedometer. I just want to say this.
Oh. All right. Prepping myself.
The number one criticism I get, the number one video criticism I get is that I do not drive the cars hard enough. Number one. And if you watch my videos, in the video, there's like a 3-minute segment where I drive the car at kind of normal speeds. And people are always like, whenever you get into a Doug DeMuro comment thing on Reddit or wherever, the number one thing, he doesn't even know how to drive. He only drives slow. He doesn't really test the cars. He doesn't really get in he doesn't know anything. And Farah has also gotten in trouble for the same thing that Marques has gotten in trouble with now. And I just find it to be grating. It is difficult as a content creator. And when I was thinking about this today, like when I started off in my YouTube world, I was kind of famous for like replying to everybody and being very engaged with the audience. And it's hard to stay at that level because you are just getting ridiculous criticism constantly all the time. Now, Marques going too fast in a 90 or whatever in a 40, it's wrong. But if he didn't, he would get the criticism I get. And I think he would actually get more of it because he's a tech YouTuber, he doesn't have as much credibility in the car space to begin with. And so he needs to prove to these people that he can drive the cars fast and can actually feel the handling and give good, honest, like review opinions based on his driving experience. And so what I tell people now is I drive the cars correctly, not on camera, and then on camera, I just put my take. But it doesn't stop people from saying, literally the number one, I mean, it is a constant complaint that I hear that I don't drive the cars fast enough. And I think the answer is you can't placate people.
No, the channels that have made it a point to do a lot of like drag races on closed tracks get around that in a really smart way.
You can do it if you rent out tracks,
but that's
which is not
so
feasible
costly
for almost everybody. And so then you have to either choose to do what I do and get that complaint or choose to do what he did and get that complaint. And those are basically the only two ways around it.
Yeah, admittedly, he was going fast in what I believe was not actually an active school zone, but in a school zone.
I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson from Farah. I wouldn't do what he did.
Yeah.
But I feel for him because I know that the alternative is also getting complaints. And I texted him and I said, what I learned of my channel is what I do, I make my goal to get the fewest number of complaints. My goal is not to get 0 complaints, and it's not to make the most people happy. It is to get the fewest amount of complaints. And so some of the choices I make are for that reason. And, he drives a Revuelto slowly. People are going to be like, well, you didn't drive it hard, but that's still a lesser thing than going over the speed limit. You're still going to get complaints. It's YouTube. It's the way the audience is. And it's difficult, though, as a creator to just kind of, there's no way to win some of this stuff.
There really is not.
That's my Marques rant. I don't think I wouldn't have done it, and I don't do it on camera, ever.
Don't do it on camera. Wink.
No, but like, I think you have to wink, but the audience doesn't buy it.
Right.
One of the things that has blown me away doing YouTube videos is realizing that whatever the audience thinks they see, they just, that's the truth to them. Like, I'll post a video that I shot in Kansas a year ago, and people will be like, "Oh my God, you're in Kansas!" And it's like, it doesn't
First of all,
work
there's
that
snow on the ground right now, or there's leaves when you're released in the summer.
I get that though. I mean, people are watching what they're watching. They're not thinking of how they don't want to see the seams of how it's put together.
Yeah,
but my point is, so when I drive the car slowly, they just assume the only time I ever had to drive that car was the 2.5 minutes we edited together. It's like, what?
I will say, you always made the smart decision to not do a forward-facing camera.
Yeah.
To not
and
show the speedo.
And people complain about it, and now you understand why. And it's not just Marques, it's Farah, it's everybody else who's done this. You make a choice. Yeah. Who do you want to upset? And then you go and make YouTube videos. Okay.
He had a good apology on social media.
He apologized, and it was lovely. And what this is going to do is mean that he's not going to drive the cars fast on camera anymore. And I promise you, within 6 months, YouTube will have forgotten that this happened, and instead they'll be complaining that he doesn't drive the cars
6 months, I give it 2.5 weeks, maybe.
Days.
Tops.
Okay, next we're going to talk about cars, which is what we've been doing. The big talk cars thing is that my Carrera GT has gone in for the big recall. This was a couple days ago.
Remind me what this entails.
There's a suspension recall where some suspension component, they showed me the component, it's tremendously small, in theory will corrode, and then the car will crash and you will die.
Right, because so many of these cars see corrosive elements. You know, the climate controlled garages they sit in, so they're definitely rusting away.
The whole thing is obviously laughable, especially because they didn't get a single car that actually crashed. But they showed me what they're replacing, and so there's a little suspension part inside of like a rubber seal bearing thing, and because they can't replace just that, they're replacing all this suspension work around it, and it's crazy. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of like, so it's a very expensive titanium parts.
Component within a bushing within a
exactly. It's in a bushing. Yeah. Exactly. So they're replacing there's an enormous amount. I mean, not an enormous amount, but a car like that. It gets expensive fast. We're talking about titanium parts for free.
Suspension, it's like, depending on where it is, the disassembly in order to replace it can be expensive. And then you have to sometimes do an alignment and all the other stuff.
Which they are going to do, because they're also going to be free tires. And a couple of interesting things came out of this. First off, I got a loaner car. And the dealer told me that I am the first Carrera GT owner in the history of the dealership to request a loaner car. So I got a base Cayenne. And it's great, I'll tell you. Heck of a car.
We still don't know if it's a post facelift or pre facelift.
No, I think it's new. I don't know much. We got a base Cayenne. The other thing that happened is I decided I would also do the 4-year service, because it's been 5 years since I did the 4-year service. Since I didn't own the car then. And
confusing.
So I call a dealer and I say, look, while the car's there, I might as well do this 5-year service. Porsche is giving a credit to the Carrera GT owners, $3,500 towards your service. And so I said, yeah, I might as well apply that towards this 4-year service. He said, yeah, it's no problem, and it'll be about $15,000. And I'm like, what? What? Well, you said it like it was like an oil change.
I mean, it is 1% of the value of the car. If I get an oil change in the Fiat, it's 1% of the value of the car. So
that's
think about it.
Oil change. It's the old 1%. Anyway, so I agreed to that, but we took some stuff off of the 4-year service. One of the things that they look for is coil pack, and apparently mine was replaced 5 years ago, and they don't think it'll need another one. And the $3,500 credit goes toward it, and so I think it'll be something in the 8 grand. It's insane.
Yeah, that's rough.
All it is like a couple of fluids, drive belts, and like brake fluid. There's not much to it. Oil change.
That's 15 G's, huh?
You believe that?
Yes, we have an expression in the indie community for services called you took it to the dealership. That's what happened there. That's tough.
But what do you?
It's a Carrera GT. You can't.
Short of sending it to Jimmy.
Yeah, those are your two options.
Where you're spending $5,000 for shipping.
And Jimmy, sometimes I wonder though, because Jimmy's very reasonable price. Like, would the shipping be worth it? But it's also a troop movement is dangerous for a car like that, like getting it on a truck and all that. And so,
especially with the clutch, like it's a whole thing.
So they're doing the old 4-year service. But anyway, the thing that all this got started for in my mind was The Mission X.
Oh.
The new electric hypercar, which apparently they're not going to make or are going to make.
Can you pull up a picture of the Mission X? Because
It's
going to be honest with you.
I looked at this the
Don't
other day.
remember what it looks like.
Ooh, the Acura ADX.
1 inch shorter than the RDX.
Ooh, you think that's part of their marketing material?
I hope so.
Almost type.
It also looks identical to an HRV, despite not being based on an HRV at all.
Okay, click on this picture because I think it's the most heinous picture.
Oof.
Yeah, so this car's Uggo, obviously. So the Mission X was announced years ago, and it was this electric hypercar that they were going to make, and no one wants it.
But it was revealed like 10 years. Like, it was a while ago.
So then obviously they're not going to. Apparently they're not going to do it, or maybe they are, maybe they're not. But they're going to do another hypercar.
We're very knowledgeable about the topic.
Well, no, there's been nothing official. But when Carrera GT concept was shown, the real Carrera GT came out a couple years later and looked identical. So this thing got shown and people are like, well, I guess this is coming. But because apparently there's not a lot of interest in these electric hypercars, maybe they're not. The point is, I was thinking about what would it take to get me into a Mission X? What would it have to be for me to actually buy it?
Well, considering you didn't like the 918, I don't think you're going to get it.
But that's my point. I did like the 911 ST. So what would they have to do?
So start with the manual.
Manual transmission, unquestionably.
Would you do an electric car if they did a manual?
Not at that price point.
Okay.
Absolutely not at that price point. I would love to have an electric daily, and I really think I should, but at that price point, absolutely no chance.
If the 918 had a manual, would that have solved it? Would that be the car you'd want, basically?
Maybe, if it was really good.
NA V8 with,
From the race car.
with hybrid assistant from the race car with a manual transmission.
No, 918 was too expensive for me also. That's the other thing. So pricing.
I hate to tell you. I suspect this will be too expensive as well.
Can you go to a nicer picture so we don't have to look at this?
Dude, I'm telling you, that's what it
He likes
looks
the
like.
ugly salamander picture.
Let me tell you what I think also. You want to talk appearance?
Yeah.
Look up the 904 Living Legend concept. This is going to change your mind.
What?
Porsche 904 Living Legend concept.
Okay.
This is what it would have to look like.
Wait, living
It'll probably just be.
legend. Okay.
That looks
that-
cool.
It is an XL1.
It does look like a 904.
Yeah.
I mean-
okay, it's based on the Volkswagen XL1, which
And
was
it
a
looks
very
it.
tiny.
On 997 turbo wheels.
It's from that era.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
But if they made it look like this with a manual and like a $600K price tag, count me in for Mission
You're
X.
aware that it's the length of a young child.
You're missing the point. I agree. It's based on the XL1, so it's actually a small electric car. But I'm telling you, it looks cool.
It does look cool.
If they made it look like this, I would be interested.
Interesting.
But that's about it.
What
disagree.
engine would
Yeah,
it need
it's
to
cool,
have?
right?
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's very like Alpine A1.
Yeah, it is very.
Yes, it is. It is.
What
That's a good point. But it's
engine
like
would you
longer
accept?
tail, like an old Porsche race car kind of.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's
Why
cool.
did they build this?
Why did they build this? Except
Do it.
not as a Volkswagen XL1.
Right, but base it on something
Take
good.
the
but, like,
design, make it bigger, because an XL1 is a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
Make the design a little bigger,
but scale up the proportions and
scale up the proportions, toss in a NAV10 from a race car like my Carrera GT has,
Casual.
and a manual transmission.
How much would you pay?
I think I'd pay 6 or 7. Depends on
Wow.
production numbers, but I'd pay 6 or 7.
How much was the Carrera GT new?
440. Because a lot of the reason for this recall, in my opinion, is because they're trying to get people to be hand raisers for the next hypercar.
You think so? It's not just to avoid more lawsuits.
There's that too.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, what would it take? And the answer is that 904 Living
But
Legend.
you'd pay 700
Depends on production.
if they made 1,000.
1,000, I don't think they'd be able to justify doing it at 600 units.
No.
Or at $600,000.
Yeah.
They would have to make 2,000, but I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right,
ready.
Porsche, if you're listening.
Porsche, I'll do it.
build it.
If it has any sort of automatic transmission or hybrid, I'm out. Kennan, tell us your Talk Cars moment of the week.
Yes. So I just recently, as of yesterday, the 13th of November, I celebrated 9 years I've owned my E39 M5. Thank you. In that time, I put about 86,000 miles on it. And it's still, I also made a video of, I watch it every year. I made a video for E39 Source documenting the whole journey of flying down to get it and like driving it back with my friends Ryan and Steven. And I'm still just as excited now as I was when I bought the car.
Wow.
It looks much better now than it did then. A lot has changed with that car. It's been
A lot of modifications.
yes, but on the topic of, but also recently, so I was on a date with this girl that I've been seeing. We went downtown to this art installation. They had like one of these Zoltan things where it gives you like a fortune, and it gave me mine.
Oh.
And it said, you have not been wise with your money lately. It's important to reward yourself for your hard work, but a fool and his money will soon part. Remember this the next time you receive a sum of money. And I suspect it was referring to my
That is wise with your money. You needed those. You needed those fender liners.
Oh yes,
for $12,000.
I mean, obviously, it's not referring to that. It's
No, that one's a reasonable, justifiable expense.
I realized, like, it is an investment in how much I love the car, and I am still just so thrilled to get in it every time. And a lot of people have been suggesting I get some daily, but to be honest with you, I just love driving that car. When I get in that car to do anything, whether it's to go play tennis with you guys, or to come here to work, or to just drive on the highway for the sake of driving, I'm just happy to be in the M5. And so 9 years later, I'm just even more excited to drive the car now, I think, than what I was when I bought it.
Yeah.
Have you owned any car for 9 years? Like not currently, just ever.
Yeah, I had that Range Rover, that CarMax Range Rover for like 7 or something.
No.
Well, the Ford GT I've had for like 6.5. I mean, I'm getting there on some of these, and I will.
Yeah.
You've never had a car for 9 years. No.
So 5 is
So I've
most.
had the one.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
For a car enthusiast. All my other car enthusiast friends are like degenerates who every 2 weeks want to buy another car.
Right. Well, and you once said in a Sunday video that a lot of car enthusiasts wax lyrical about keeping a car forever. I'm not even necessarily saying I'm going to do it with the M5, but it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I do agree. That's an interesting point. So many people are like, oh, I'm going to keep my car forever, and they never do. But you've never said that, but like are just sort of doing it because that's what you like.
Yes.
That's the way to do it. Not be one of those Louis who's like, I want to keep it forever. And then they sell it 6 weeks later.
Monte Rimac and I, both V39 M5 guys, just driving around.
And Malcolm Gladwell.
True.
Who else?
Dave Grohl.
You know Malcolm Gladwell's daily driver?
Acura.
No.
Acura ADX.
No.
Acura RDX. Type S.
It's not an Acura.
It's not a what?
It's not an Acura.
I don't know,
We don't know what that is.
brand you're referring to. What is it?
The Kia Carnival.
Okay.
But I love the car, and it's not going anywhere.
E39 M5. And everybody in the comments gets mad that Kennan brings up his E39 M5. 2 things about that. Number 1, that goes back to what I said earlier about the annoyance. But number 2, this is Kennan. This is who Kennan is.
Well, I'm passionate about other cars. The thing is, they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's like, to be honest, and you can't use them the way I want to use them. Like your point about the Ford GT is the reason you love that is because you can take it and drive it places that you can't do, they wouldn't dream of doing with the Countach. And the Carrera GT is worth over $1 million. And so like you can't, but the E39 M5, despite how much money I have into it, ultimately it's not that expensive of a car. It's extremely usable, very practical. Would I do I want other cars? Of course, I'll have other cars with it. But it's the rock upon which I built. I just love it.
Right. That's fair.
We're happy for you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next topic is the market report. Market report, not brought to you by Cars and Bids. It's brought to you by the Cars and Bids app, which is different from Cars and Bids. It's Cars and Bids, but an app version.
It's part of Cars and Bids. You can download the app on the iOS App Store today.
The iOS App Store. That's where you get it. You go to Cars and Bids on the iOS App Store, it's green. And then you can get notifications and push notifications and regular notifications and no notifications at all about your favorite vehicles when they list, sell, or are bought on Cars and Bids.
You can bid, you can comment, you can participate in our community, you can do all the fun things you love about Cars and Bids.
Can you talk to Kennan directly?
Sadly, not for free.
But
not for free. And we should put a pay to talk to Kennan.
We should.
Okay, market report. Ken and I both want to talk about Z3M Coupes.
Yes. So recently we sold this particular one, which I thought was fascinating because it's kind of the one to have. So it's the clown shoe.
Yep.
It's an S54.
Yep.
It had some modifications, and admittedly it was a salvage title, but in like 2002. So like that's not really relevant
That was
anymore.
salvage titled? Huh.
Yeah, it was a branded title in 02, but it sold for $28,500. Now I did have miles on it, 63,000, but it's not crazy for one of these. But I mean, it just shows that these are coming down.
Sorry, you're calling $28,500 for a salvage titled?
Yeah, because these
cheap.
Yeah, because S54 ones, the really nice ones, were $100. Like they were very expensive for a while, and now they have like really settled. And S52 ones are still a really good buy.
Yeah, that was what I was going to talk about. Nick mentioned to us the other day just privately that he thinks these Z3M Coupes are good deals, and they really are. If you don't focus on the S54 thing, the fact that you can get these cars, I mean, you drive this around, no one knows whether you have an S52 or an S54, first off, and second, they're just so cool.
Yeah. Some of us know.
Well, there are very little ways that Kennan knows how to tell them
You, of course, know how to tell one apart.
I don't, but they are such cool cars. cars. They are such cool cars.
Yeah.
And they're so distinctive. And I don't know if I would necessarily go as far as calling them iconic, but they are distinctive and cool in a very special way.
Well, it was a rare moment when BMW decided, let's do something quirky.
Yeah, let's do something weird.
And
Yeah,
also,
so cool.
it was an engineer pet project. The BMW didn't want to make a coupe version of it. Engineers did it in their spare time, famously, and were able to make a case for it using parts from other cars.
Just like the E30 Touring.
And they did it. And look how cool that thing looks.
Yeah. I think it's a really, really special car, and the fact that the S52 ones are only 20 grand
I know,
is
crazy.
like a total deal. S52 is not a bad engine.
No, S52 is a great engine. It's not as exotic as the S54 or the European version,
But it's more reliable
and good torque.
And these cars are all old. I mean, I can't imagine an S54 is even that fast by modern standards.
The car this light, it's pretty quick. It's pretty fast.
Yeah, I guess so. But even an S52 is probably okay. I mean, it's a fun car to drive around. It's cool, it's quirky, and it's not expensive. And they're certainly not losing value.
Like 2 years ago, I went up to the Pacific Northwest where I did a trio of videos. I reviewed an S52 Clown Shoe, an E46 M3, and a Honda Acura, excuse me, NSX. Sorry, I didn't want to confuse you there.
Taking in this.
Of the three, like when I analyzed price and driving experience, whatever, the shoe was the one I liked the most.
Yeah.
Like it just was a nice balance of everything.
It's cool.
And it
looks
damn
so
It
cool.
drives well, and it is cool. People knock the Z3 because it's the Z3 and it's like the lesser. I think that's all a bunch of BS. And then the fact that it's a coupe and the M coupe, it's all cool. And I think that these cars are total bargains at their number.
They really are.
With an S52. And yes, S54's got absolutely crazy and maybe are seeing a little bit of.
But
of a return to
they're
earth.
coming down certainly. Really minty
Look at
once
this.
they're
Driving
started.
around this be so cool.
Oh, look at that rear dish on that rear wheel, man. That is just delicious.
Hey, Kennan, before we move on, do you want to tell Doug how to tell apart? Because they're an
Yeah,
S52.
this is a really
S54.
good. I mean, you can tell from right here. So, for those who don't know, this is classroom clown shoe time with Kennan. So, one way to
Different from
tell
clown
is the
classroom.
wheel finish. This is the only other M car that got chrome shadow wheel finish like the E39 M5. Only two ones they ever did it with. So that's one way to.
Well, which
instantly
one
tell.
has it? Which one doesn't?
So the S52 does not, just finished in hyper silver. That's one. The other thing is the M badge changed significantly. So this one is like the E46
Significantly.
M3, which is a little bit more rounded looking. When you look at an S52 car, it's like the E36 M3, which is a little. Oh, of course, I click on a car that doesn't have it. Let's see. This one has it. You can see it's much more flat.
Wait,
looking.
go back to the other one.
I should. We're going to open up in
Significant.
two different.
Significant is the word I would use for sure.
Look, Filippo, this is a brand. This is a brand that values subtlety.
Go to it.
All right, so see how that one is kind of
Yeah,
more
no, go
rounded?
back to the other one.
Much more flat.
Huh.
So completely different there
Now,
too.
those are both pretty changeable things.
They
the
are
wheels
changeable
and the
things.
badge.
You
but
could
then
confuse
inside
everybody.
as well. There are changes too. So you can see here.
Yeah.
So the gauge cluster on the S52 cars is black. On the S54 cars, it's gray.
Okay. Changeable also. Changeable also.
A little more difficult because it also applies down here. To
He
these
left,
gauges
but I'm
on
going
the
to pull
center
this out at
console.
Carson Coffee
Well, of
next
course
time.
you are.
Right. This is the guy who knows the difference between the Acura trims currently, like on every submodel. So I mean, yeah, exactly. So
What, you want regular or you want
Don't give
advanced?
me guff here.
Wait, so is that all?
You start it and it sounds different, but the badges also,
Also,
apply
if
to
you open the hood, it's a little different.
The badges apply to the sides too. That's another thing that changed. So, I mean, they're really subtle ways to tell, but yeah, that's largely how you tell the difference. That's it. I think.
Thank you for that lesson.
Okay. I want to do the last market report thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the Evo. Pull up the Evo. Let's just talk about it. Let's just get it out in the open.
Let's get it on the open.
Let's just get it out in the open. This is the coolest thing that's ever been sold on Cars and Goods.
Well, we
It's
sold
so
that
cool.
first gen HRV once, but
Dude,
you know.
when I was a kid, I was 15. This car came out when I turned 16. And at the time, it was the coolest thing in the world. We were all playing Gran Turismo. And we had all wanted Nissan to bring us the GTR, and Subaru to bring us the WRX, and Mitsubishi to bring us the Evo. Nissan never did bring us the GTR. They brought us the new GTR, but we never got the Skyline that we played in Gran Turismo.
Yep.
And Subaru redesigned the Impreza and brought us the WRX. But Mitsubishi just was like, all right.
Yep.
And after the Evo 6, they gave us the Evo 7, they gave us the Evo 8,
Yep.
which was quite similar. It was just sort of like the car we all played.
As
It even
with-
had a rear wiper like Japanese market sedans do and US market sedans never do. And immediately when the cars started to get sold here, people started to modify them and crash them.
Yep.
And you just don't see nice ones. And this one is a nice one, and I want it.
Yep.
It is nice.
Agreed.
I think it has very limited. Powder coated brake calipers
Which
and an
look good.
Alpine head unit.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. There's
Rare.
no car where that's the situation. No Evo anymore. First gen.
How many do you think exist like this still? I mean,
7.
a handful.
Especially in a cool color.
Yeah, especially in a.
This is one of those cars where you go, hey, is it modded? No. It's only got an exhaust, a tune, it's lowered, and it's wheels and a built motor. But
Which
it's
is
not
minor
really
mods,
compared to my buddies.
just bolt-ons.
Just bolt-ons. I think this car is so cool, and I just remember my childhood and how desperately I wanted one of these. We all played these video games. These were the coolest cars you could find in video games. And here it is in real life, 20 years later.
Blue by you.
Blue by you.
Yeah.
That's right. It is cool. It's nice to see one of these preserved.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Such a
happen.
cool car.
Not even window tint.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just totally OE. Okay, next up, time to move on to the questions. Now remember, you can submit your own questions. Go to carsandbids.com, click on the community tab, and there will be a post that says, submit us questions. And then you can submit them, and we will answer them
On the podcast.
no matter how stupid. Okay. First question from Q Sal. A lot of these are for you today, Kennan.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Doug, and the other two, I suppose. This isn't one of them. What are your thoughts about clear taillights? For example, the 2014 Porsche GT3 came with factory option clear taillights, and I think it's a great look. I drive a Toyota Sienna, which had clear taillights, and I think it's one of the best minivans.
But only the SE, if memory
Only the SE. The answer is they're fine. I don't know. Okay, next.
Wait.
Oh, I've got an opinion on that one.
I actually kind of agree that on the Sienna, it works.
It worked on some cars.
The 997 GTS has clear taillights. If memory serves, I hate them. I think they look horrible.
So the 997 clear tails, the problem with those was part of them were still red.
Yeah.
Because there were regulatory components that had to be red.
I actually do hate them on all
These are the 991 clear tails. They look fine. Go to the 997 clear tails. This will change your life.
But it's not GT3.
Take out GT3, just 997 clear tails. OE, because the non-OE ones aren't. These are not OE. Where are the OEs? That was the clear tail for the 997.
And it looks
It's wearing eyeliner.
It looks so bad.
It was the best they could do at the time.
But it wasn't good.
No. I thought it was GTS only.
It was this actually. Now that I look at it, I don't know if it's the exact OE clear tail, but it was very similar.
That
to that
in spirit.
And no one got them because it was just so not clear.
Yep.
Anyway, no, you could get them on other ones, but very few people did. I don't mind them on the right cars. IS300, of course, wore it best.
Of course.
Oh no, first gen RX.
Tesla, of course.
Second gen RX.
The first two generations of RX were clear.
06 RX 330.
Yeah. Larger cars seem to pull it off better than sports cars.
I think it works on some cars. It doesn't work on other cars. And I think almost no car that has been modified to add it does it look good.
True.
It was available. I don't know. This is very E39 specific. It was available on the E39. Like these are factory.
What?
Believe it or not, these are factory. Yeah, those are factory hella taillights.
That is tragic.
Bad.
Well, that's Hane. Okay.
Yep. Deep pain.
Next question, Aiden Kelly 666. Question for Doug and honored guest. I was once kicked out of an air-cooled Porsche group on Facebook during COVID for asking if they think prices would go down because there are a million of them and they are slow. Question, what is the fastest or funniest way to make a Porsche purist angry? That kind of thing. I mean, I think that the production numbers is really my thing about those cars. They're really not rare. They're cool.
Yeah, and they are slow.
Yeah.
They're not quick.
I just don't get into the pedantry of the Porsche people, and so
I'm sorry, what?
The pedantry.
Pedantry, okay. I thought you just massively mispronounced pedigree.
I thought you were going to say pageantry. Was what you were
People are so pedantic about so many little things that I just can't bring myself to care about.
I think that's another good one. If someone's showing you a calling a PDK car a tip. We like to do that. That really upsets them. But also, like, if they're showing you their car and they're talking about how they have deviated stitching on their map, like around their map lights, and you just go, do you ever drive the car?
Here's a reality. Okay, I have a Porsche, and I go to Cars and Coffee and all sorts of car events, right? And people, because it's me, I can't be mean ever to people, right? To their cars.
Right.
So when people show me their cars, I always have to be like, oh, yeah, that's the coolest thing we've seen. And most of the time, they are cool.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll get a Porsche dude who thinks that I'm a Porsche dude.
Wow.
And he'll be like, you got to come over here and take a look at this because this is the only one they made with a sunroof and the only one they made with this stitching and
that's when you point at the Kennan.
Yeah, I'm like you got to talk to my friend Sam over here.
Sam, yeah, send him to Sam.
I get into cars for their overall driving experience and the way they are and the way they feel and the way, etc. And I don't get into cars like the little tiny, like the stitching is different kind of stuff. I get that. I understand those people are there. It's cool. It's their thing. It's not my thing.
Right.
And so like I don't really gel with the Porsche community in that way.
They're rich Corvette people. Effectively, it's like that's where you kind of get to.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, no, I agree. Like ultimately, it's infuriating to me to see a car that is designed for driving, GT3, the ultimate driver's car, and it's only driven to Cars and Coffee and back. And but like I put PPF on it, and then I got the Porsche design watch to match, and it's
and
like
80% of the threads on Renlist are, what spec should I get? Nice spec. All they want to talk about is, you get beautiful spec. And it's like, don't any of you care about like the
driving
enjoyment of the vehicle? I got the sport seats because they're better for resale. Well, why don't you get the seats that are better for your driving experience?
Right. I'm not making this up. I once read I wish I could find it. I once read a Renlist like thread about which dealer had like the nicest coffee offerings, like in their service department, like within like northeastern Ohio, and it was like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. It was hard to read. And the comments were as egregious as you would expect. I only use a French press.
I go on the Renlist and it's just hard. It's hard. The supercar section where we talk Carrera GT, it's a little easier. But I go on some of those threads and I'm just like, I cannot believe people are having these conversations. Yep. And they've all been fooled into this paint to sample thing, even though the colors aren't actually to sample. They're just older colors that a million other people are getting also. Correct. And the whole thing is just I don't get into the pedantry.
Bit much.
It's a bit much.
Drive the car.
Drive the car. You know, I do take pride in the fact that the Carrera GT is like Porsche God, even though they were all like silver with no options. That's like one of my favorite things. Okay, next question from Paul Hanrahan. Doug, if you had to completely replace your current car collection with budget economy cars, which one would you pick? Filippo, you take this one.
Okay, your car collection, but they all have to be same like genre of cars.
I don't know. That you can choose.
Your family car would be a Highlander hybrid, which is not really a budget economy car, but if you buy a 4-year-old one. There was a period of time, fun fact for long-term Doug followers, where Doug loved the high.
Pull up like which one did I like, the 12?
Yeah.
Like thereabouts. 14?
There was a refresh or redesign. I think
hated
in
the
12.
08 to 12 one.
Yeah, everybody did.
This is the one you love. But I like the pre-refresh, which
this
is actually this one.
These are all pre-refresh.
I think that is one of the more beautiful, normal cars that has ever existed.
Yeah.
But
budget economy cars,
hybrid,
what would Doug buy? Doug would just buy any of them. Doesn't matter. Whichever one's closest to his house.
Yeah. I don't have an enormous amount. Like it's funny because people often ask me stuff like this. Like when I'm renting a car, my friends would be like, I got a whatever at the rental car agency today. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I'm all set. I drive everything. It doesn't matter all that much to me.
Yeah. A common way that Doug recommends that people buy cars is which dealer is closest to your house.
Which dealer is closer? Fair. Which salesperson do you like better? Which color is better at the dealer? People come to me and they're like, should I get a RAV4, a CRV, or a CX-5? And it's like...
well, first of all, the CX-5 you should not buy. You should buy the CX-50 hybrid to be competitive. But...
I just to me, none of it, you're not going to really notice that people are terrified of making a bad decision when it comes to buying a car. And it's like, you don't get it. It really, if you've gotten to that level, it doesn't matter. Now, if someone came to me and said, I'm thinking about getting a Chrysler 200, then we have a problem. Then it's like, I got to steer you in a different direction.
Think about it.
So yeah, the answer is, I don't know the answer really, but they wouldn't be stuff that I would really care all that much about.
Yeah.
Although I do think Filippo should get a Fiat Multipla.
That is a great car, but it's not really like a modern, quirky enthusiast car.
Yeah, it is. I think
it might be the quirkiest car of all time. It looks like a platypus.
Rather, it's not a budget economy car.
It is budget. I think
it is an economy car. You're right. The answer, Doug would buy a Fiat Multipla.
Okay. Next question from Ind_Can. Hey guys, you've just been given $500,000, which you must use to buy the following: a daily driver, a weekend cruiser, a track toy. What would your picks be?
You think I need 500 grand? I need
like 90. Anything close to 500 grand.
Give him 23 grand. He's set.
I'm good. One car to do it all.
The answer, of course, I'd have to think about it, actually.
I need time to think.
Can I get a Ford GT in there? Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
Ford GT and a couple boring cars.
Ford GT and a new E-Class wagon, you have some money left over for a track toy.
Yeah.
It's not a bad answer, actually.
Yeah.
Ford GT for what, for like a mild one, 300.
That kind of solved the problem though, right there. Those two. I don't even need three. What is yours?
So assuming I can't keep the E39 and 5, I'll pull it out of contention for this. But
for a challenge.
You could put it in. You could have a daily drive.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, yeah.
You buy the nicest one, which is 50.
I'll just keep mine. So
Okay, call it 20.
I can get reimbursed for it. See, I've made myself even a hole there. I think, but the E39.5 notwithstanding, because I want to just have some other stuff. Ferrari 550, I'd love to have 997.1 GT3 for the track car. And then probably Mulsanne would be a killer.
That is a
Wait, that's better than mine. I want to change mine now.
all right. You can go for it.
575 would be cool. I can get a 575 like 100, right?
Yeah, if it were Tip, yeah.
Tip 575, Mercy. That's pretty.
Mercy's a good choice, yeah. But
Tip
what's
Mercy.
what's that? Your track car?
Well, they'll both be track cars.
Yeah, 575.
You drive the one when the other one is overheating at the track,
Right.
And then
So you're gonna get 8 laps between them.
yeah, but that's a lot. Like when you think about it, then you break for lunch. You know, every time I go to a track day, you only get like 4 laps total because the instructors like to hear themselves talk so much it's like a 5-hour day, and 4.5 hours is the instructor being like, remember when you go into corner 1.
Okay, so it was Nick pointing at. He's like, talk to the cones, be friends with the
That's
cones.
what it was in that. Yeah,
It
that
was Nick in
particular
that
one.
case. But the one more, you need a luxury car. Then
Then the cheapest, the E-Class wagon.
You
that
don't
I
need to be
could get.
cheapest. You got money left over.
I
Even
got
with
like,
those.
That's like we're not thinking big enough.
Mulsanne is
it's
a
an
good
interesting.
one. Mulsanne is a good one.
Yeah.
What would you get?
I honestly don't know what I would choose that gets me anywhere close to
$500,000
$500,000.
is like this giant
I
world.
never
for him.
considered it.
Yeah, that's. I live in California. I don't have any kids or anything. I could have a Z8 as my daily.
Sure. Okay, great. There's $100,000 of your 500.
That would be cool.
Well, no, they're not 100. That's like
Are they not?
130 to 180 at least.
Okay,
200
130.
for a nice color.
Fine, 130, but
But I mean, the 550 is almost 200. The GT3 is 145.
All right, there you go.
150.
Congratulations.
So there we
You
go.
have 3 two-door cars.
wait, what if I want a
I
Super
like the
America?
Mulsanne a lot. I'm keeping the Mulsanne.
I want a Super America.
That's
Can I get a Super America and a Mercy?
350? 320. Let's call it.
I can get a Super America for 200. Tip 200, 220, and a
220.
Mercy for 180. So that's 400 I just spent, and then an E-Class wagon. I got money left over. I'll give to you.
But just so you know, your Super America top won't work.
You won't work. What is yours? Have you ever come up with any?
Never even considered anything of the sort.
Filippo doesn't do thought exercises, but also he
True.
would never get a daily driver, a weekend cruiser, or a track toy road legal. Like it's just not who he is at his heart.
No, I would get one car, and it would be $45,000.
It'd be an E-Class wagon.
Yep.
An
Or a
all-terrain.
C7 Corvette. That's
You
CBD.
should get a new all-terrain for this money.
You can get a new all-terrain for a fifth of that money.
I know, but you would.
I think if I were $500,000 to spend, I would get a new all-terrain probably.
Okay, next question from Kenny H. What are your all-time favorite and least favorite factory wheels ever fitted to a car? This one I could go for decades.
Literally
Yep.
decades.
Pull up the F512M. Let's just start there. Let's start with the F512M and go from there. Filippo,
I'm not familiar, to be honest. Oh yeah,
just
those
take,
are,
Hot
take out
Wheels.
wheels. Just go to F512M.
are those not
These are
those?
too dark. These are too dark. We got to. I want to see the. I want to see the.
really wanna
just
see,
Remove
huh?
the word wheels. Filippo, these wheels will change.
These are quite the wheels.
So now
I agree.
there's some debate on these wheels about whether they're the ugliest wheel or the most beautiful wheel. I think they're beautiful. The most people think they are the ugliest wheel ever created and put on a car. Kennan, where do you fall on this?
I think they're really cool. I think it's the entire car that's hideous.
you're not wrong.
Any of the elements in isolation would probably be fine. Maybe the headlights aren't, because the pop-up headlights on the Testarossa were pretty cool. They were ridiculous.
But they like 550 on an F12M. It's like what a
Yeah.
bad modifier or a Testarossa. It's what a bad modifier.
all
would have
this was to buy them time for 1 year to finish what they needed to finish with the 550. That was all this car was for, basically.
done. What? Okay. The worst wheels of all time.
I like this.
yeah.
Pull up the 997 Lobster Claws.
Oh, yeah, people are going to disagree with you there.
They are, and they're wrong. And this isn't even a thing that I will discuss. This is the ugliest wheel ever manufactured in the entire history of wheels. Pull up this picture. Why do these wheels have so many holes in them?
They're a lot of varying shapes. Some are like Porsche Cresty. Some are obviously circular for the lugs. And then some are like,
There are a lot of.
I don't like Honda logos almost. It's kind of
These wheels have 15
And then-
holes in them, and then the hole for the lug and for the tire pressure sensor. These are the valve stem. These are the ugliest wheels that have ever existed. These wheels are prized in the Porsche community.
Yeah.
Oh, you got lobster claws?
I think people just like saying it also.
People do like saying it.
Don't eat them, Mike. It's not sanitary.
Okay,
But
give us some of yours.
I'm surprised you're not going for like an AMG deep dish situation.
I like those, but I'm not obsessed.
for some of my favorites, the Mercedes
You remember the code?
SL65 AMG, like the 2008 one. Those wheels.
Oh yeah, of course.
Some of the best factory. Of course,
Yes.
most of like they've been taking.
Oh yes, the gray with the silver. Oh yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. People aftermarket this wheel, and it's so wild. You know, F355 had an all-time great wheel.
Yeah, F355 had an all-time great. E39 M5 has some of the all-time great wheels. I mean, there are so many really good.
You know
wheels.
what
It's
a bad wheel is? That HRV wheel that I hate.
Yeah, it is. It's the last gen HRV.
You don't
So
carry-
2012, 2018
No,
HRV.
the one that when we were on the East Coast together, and you showed me that Mercedes with those off wheels. What wheels are? What
Oh,
year is that?
those are like new AMG wheels look like that.
God, yeah.
But no, it's the newest HRV.
No, it's the last gen HRV, not the newest. It's the 20.
Type in 24 HRV.
It's a 24.
Really?
Type in
Wait, I
24.
thought it was the one before this.
I'm
you hated.
looking at it right here. And then go down a little. That wheel. This is one of the worst wheels I've ever seen in my entire life as a human being.
That is rough.
They've silvered only parts of the outside. It looks like it's been curved.
Looks like a starfish. Got
Yeah,
stuck.
it does look like a starfish.
horrible.
I thought you
wheel
hated the
design.
HRV ones before this that were also two different colors.
I also hate that RAV4.
You
Remember
do
that?
hate that RAV4 wheel.
But that RAV4 is like the ugliest
Good luck
thing in the
finding
world.
a picture.
I know. It was like a very specific trim for like one model year and no one bought it. But those are bad
Go to
wheels.
like a
Kennan,
2021 HRV.
Kennan, give us
because
some
there's
of your
horrible
bad
wheels there, too.
wheels.
Of course, a lot of these are like BMW specific, but they're. Let me see if I can find it. On the E65, there was a wheel. Hold on. I'm gonna,
The 7 Series?
yes. Hold on.
There was a bad E65.
There's a website that just
Yep,
like
there is
has
that.
all of the wheels. BMW.
The BMW dot wheels, isn't it?
Something like that. There it is.
Oh,
well, that's
sad.
a shame. But they. No. Okay. So there is.
Such a good
look
website.
at this website. Go
when
down.
when I wrote
This is a bad
listings,
wheel.
This is how
This-
you check whether it's.
style
That's a great wheel.
Those were like, those were the I'm here to fire your
But
father
no, there's
wheels.
some. These are the tiny.
These were
stuff.
bad. They were on the E30, the Z3.
Yep,
Those
but-
3 spokes
Yeah.
are awesome.
But no,
and terrible at the
just
same
give him a minute.
time.
I'll
These
find
were
it.
bad. They were on the E38. I thought it was impossible to make the E38 look bad.
Oh,
Those wheels did it.
Style 75s, those are them. Those wheels.
Oh my God.
are really.
Wait, those were on the E65, the 7 series?
E53, excuse me, yeah.
I never seen those wheels in my life.
Yeah, these were on the E38, style 76.
This was an E39 wheel? The Style 70. What is that?
Must be for Eastern Europe for extra strength on bad roads.
Oh, I wish there was a website like this just for all general car
There is
wheels.
a Mercedes equivalent.
This was a great wheel. That Style 87 on the 4.6 IS. Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
could
was
do
a good
wheels
wheel.
for days.
Yeah.
That was the E65 wheel we all know and love.
Yep. And I remember these too, which were.
Those were not good.
Not.
They did not
Neat
last
so good.
long. I don't even know if they made it past. Oh, you know what wheel I hate? You're on the BMW 1 sensor. Go down more. The 6 Series, that one wheel with the little ovals on it, I hated dearly.
Oh.
Where is that oval?
I know what you're talking about.
Kennan, if I see it though, I might.
Yeah, I'm going to scroll up to
Keep going.
I'll go up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
6 series. Let's see if we pull it up a little faster that way.
Oh, it's so uggo.
Where
It's
is
so
it?
uggo. Give me the wheel. I know you want to. Oh, maybe they took it off because it's so uggo they want people to see it.
Too many people broke their screens.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Why is
It was
there?
on, like,
It's this. It's
Yes.
that wheel.
on the base like 645.
Oh,
Yeah.
the car was already ugly, and then they were like, "We're gonna turn it up a notch." You're gonna
they
complain?
succeeded.
Try us now.
Chris Bangle went, watch this.
Yeah. Hayne. Okay, I want to do one more.
Wait, I've not been asked for my opinion.
Okay, go.
Saab 900 3 spokes.
3 spokes.
Good wheel.
Wait, which gen?
The
Moxie
OG 900, yeah.
OG 900 3 spokes. The turbo.
Yeah, those.
Yep.
Good wheels.
All
On that,
time.
but, like, not great wheels generally. Good wheels on that car.
Worked on that car.
Cool. Yeah, it's so cool.
What are the bad ones?
I don't got none.
Come on.
You also have some you don't like.
There's none that come to mind. I don't think about wheels in that way.
Really?
Yeah.
You just think all wheels are good?
Wheels are wheels. No, I don't think they're all good, but they don't harbor space in my mind.
You know what wheel I also loved? Mark IV turbo.
Yeah.
Oh, Supra? Yeah.
Yeah. And people remove them, and it's such a mistake.
I'm finding a stock one.
Try to find a
luck.
picture of stock. It's impossible. Look at those wheels.
Those chromies.
I wouldn't do the chromies, but I would
They're
do
not
the wheels.
good,
They're
but I
so
get
nice.
why you like
They're
them.
so nice. Okay, last question. The Precision Driver asks, "Hey Doug, are there any plans to expand Cars and Bids into countries such as the UK and Ireland in the future?"
Not at this time.
Not at this time. We are in Canada.
We are in
which is
Canada.
part of the UK, or not.
That's a great point.
I've never
Think
quite
about
understood it.
They do look up to the queen.
You know, people
King.
got mad at me
King.
last week. I'm sorry for this sidebar, especially at the very end, but people got mad at me last week for saying that Bugatti's factory in Molsheim is sort of in France and sort of in Germany. They're like, this is in France. Bugatti, when it was founded in Germany. And then there were some wars and one thing led to another and France got the territory back. But Bugatti, we believe, is a German company, except for the time when it was an Italian company.
Interesting.
And it was owned by the Germans again.
And look who has it. You couldn't even say that it's not a German company now. Like they are only in France by location. Like they are German in every sense of the word.
Well, they are owned.
Volkswagen is like the Germanist German, and they're the Germanist Germans of the Germans. And it was this example. They gave the Germans the ability to be Germans to the max.
And if you're playing the German drinking game at home, you're having a great time.
While we're talking about the globe, I would like to talk about one other thing. One of the shirts, the shirt that you are wearing, has a logo that looks strikingly like the Geo logo.
Geo is a great company.
And I want that.
You know what's on the back of this shirt? Can I even? You know what's on the back of this shirt? Oh God, I'm knocking over stuff. Oh my God.
He's a disaster. He's
G500, Austrian built.
It's great.
Okay. Buy them at merch.carsandbit.com.
That's it. We're done. Thank you for watching our podcast. It was our second best one ever after last week's. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.